Hi, Rebecca here. So today I have an exploration of brown pink inks to do when I get organized. So it is the 17th, and this is a brown pink ink exploration. Gotta title my page or I will forget what I have done when I look back on it at the end of the year. Now, brown pink is a combination of colors that I adore. And you'll be able to tell that because I have quite a few inks in this brown pink ink exploration. So let's get busy and look at my tools, the tool I will be using. This is a dip pen. It is a James Finnis Robert Oster dip pen. James Finnis and Robert Oster are both Australian, and they did a project together where James Finnis made these serendipity dip pens, and they're called dip pens or serendipity because they have a nib and feed. You can see right here there's a standard fountain pen nib and a standard fountain pen feed that just slides in and is held, so you get a longer ability to write with your ink load. You get a better ink load than just dipping alone. So that's the tool I'm going to use. And the first ink I'm looking at is by Colorverse, and it is, Colorverse. It is Alpha Sgr, which is Alpha Sagittarius. So using the back end of my dip pen, I will lay in a long skinny swatch, and then with the nib end of my dip pen, I will write the company name and the ink name under each swatch. Cleaning off the end of the dip pen is really easy. Just a dry paper towel will do it and gets the blunt end, the non-nib end, very clean, very fast. So I don't need another tool to pick up and lay down ink. So this is Colorverse Alpha Sgr. And it is the lightest of all the inks you're going to see in this, what's the word I'm looking for? Color exploration today. So next up is an ink by Color Traveler. It is called Miyajima Sea-Eel Rice Beige, which is a heck of a mouthful. I don't know if Miyajima means Sea-Eel Rice Beige or it is Sea-Eel Rice Beige from Miyajima. I don't know. It's a beautiful ink. That is the thing I do know. It is another light brown pink, very similar to Colorverse Alpha Sgr, but a hint darker and a hint more brown than pink. I get very detailed in looking at the differences between these inks, and probably you couldn't tell the difference between these two inks if they were in a pen and were written side by side with the same nib. But to me, there's a little color differentiation, and I'm happy to have both. Color Traveler, Miyajima, Sea-Eel Rice Beige. Can I fit it on one line? Rice Beige. Yes, I can. It was tight. So this is the lightest two of my brown pink inks. So now I have to dip the pen and wipe off the feed and the nib. Make sure I don't introduce ink A into ink B or ink B into ink C. We don't want any cross-contamination. Next up, we have a Ferris wheel press bottle, and this is Lady Rose. So the picture, the label is much more of a lilac-y kind of pink. It has hints of purple in it. But the ink itself is a pink with, well, no, it's a brown with hints of pink. It's more a beige with hints of pink. So it's a very soft, pretty color, similar to the previous two colors laid down. I should put some more. Yeah, put some more there. Show the shading. I'm doing a little extra at one end of the swatches, in the center of the swatches, to try and show some of the shading. This is the problem with dip pens or any pens and the mouth of the Ferris wheel press flat round bottles is the mouth is so small you can't get your pen in. You notice I had to tip the ink bottle to sploosh ink onto my nib and feed. I couldn't immerse the nib and feed without tipping. It just didn't reach. It was stopped by the mouth of the bottle. So those are the bad bottles as far as I'm concerned. Actually, all Ferris wheel press bottles have problems at the mouth of the bottle. Not all of them, not 100% of them, but enough of a percentage of them that it's a problem. Next up, Troublemaker. Troublemaker has nice bottles, easy to get a pen into, although tall and a little tippy. So be careful with your Troublemaker bottles. They are prone to tipping. This is Rodeo, which is, you guessed it, a brown pink. So another soft tone similar to the other three. A little more pink than the Lady Rose, but we'll wait and see when it dries. I've had Troublemaker in a pen and it performed very well but was quite dry, although it was a Sailor Pro Gear Slim Mini, so generally dry pens, dry writers, but it was a tuned Sailor Pro Gear Slim Mini, so not so dry a writer. Just a bit of a dry ink. And it has a little more intensity of color than the other three inks so far. So closing that up so I don't have an inky mess to deal with. And what do I have coming up next? I have my inks in pairings. So am I going to do... No, I'm going to switch. Dieman, no, not Dieman, Van Dieman's Kitten Paws. Now, this is an interesting ink. It has pink particulate matter on the bottom of the bottle. And as I shake the bottle, the particulate matter gets absorbed into the ink, but you have to remember to shake the bottle to get the true color of the ink to show up. So this one's going to go down different than the first four did. Very different. The ink is going down green, greenish brown. It's still a brown, but it has hints of green in it. Now, green and pink are kind of opposite on the color wheel, so this is kind of a chroma shading thing. I have it in the green-brown ink exploration for a reason, so just wait until it dries and you'll see that it comes up brownish pink. So, Van Dieman's Kitten Paws. And very green. Let's see if I can get this off my nib and feed. It's almost jarring how different it is from the first 4 inks, which are such a happy color family together. Look, you can see the pink and the greenish brown in the cap. Very interesting. Okay, only interesting to us ink nerds, but you know, interesting to us. If you're watching this video, I include you in that group. This is Inkebara number 246 Earth. A beautiful color that reminds me of the Australian outback. I've been to Australia a couple of times. I have flown over some of the outback. I have not been to the outback. But you see so many representations on film and television that this ink just makes me think of that, of the Australian outback. I use this ink a lot. I've had it for a few years and I ink it up probably every 3 or 4 months. I really like it. I've had it in quite a few different pens. It's another slightly more brown, greenish brown, and when it dries it has the pinkish tones in it and the green kind of lessens a little bit. But I really like the Inkebara inks. So number 246 Earth. Beautiful color. Absolutely stunning. So what is next other than cleaning my nib and feed? I know which 2 are coming up next. But have to clean the feed. So it takes a minute. This is my collection so far, 6 inks in. Next up is 2 Sailor inks. First we have Kobe ink. Sailor makes Kobe inks. And this is done in coordination with the Felissimo Chocolate Museum. And it is called Milk Chocolate. The Felissimo Chocolate Museum and Kobe worked together to release 3 inks: bitter chocolate, milk chocolate, and strawberry chocolate. I own milk chocolate and strawberry chocolate. I didn't buy bitter chocolate because it was so similar to some other dark espresso type of browns that I already have. But what I didn't realize when I bought it is the milk chocolate and the strawberry chocolate both are quite close to other inks I own. But that's okay. I obviously like this color family, so I will, excuse me, sorry. I will stick with it because I like this color family. I think I have enough now. That's why I'm doing this exploration now, is I have collected enough of the different tones and variations of the brown-pink corner of the color wheel. So it was time to do the swatching. So next up, another Sailor ink. Well, cleaning my pen first. More water. Get that ink out of there. Squish, squish, squish. 2 layers of paper towel do a much better job than a single layer of paper towel. And then when you fold those 2 layers, it's even better. The more paper towel squish, the better. So this is Sailor Manyo Aka-mai. And I like these bottles, these Sailor bottles, much better than those low, flat, round bottles that you just saw with the milk chocolate in them. Those ones are hard to fill a pen from once you get down to the bottom half to a third of the ink. You basically have to move the ink into an ink miser or an ink sample container to fill a pen, whereas these taller rectangular bottles let you fill a pen for a lot longer, and you can tip them and get into a corner, whereas with the round bottles it's a lot harder to tip and get into well, there aren't really corners. Tip and get into a lower part. So this is a much smarter bottle. This is Sailor Manyo Aka-mai. And it's quite different than the milk chocolate next to it. This is more of a cool taupe. That was more of a warm brown pink. This is a cool brown pink. But both beautiful colors in their own right. I've had Aka-mai in a pen, actually in that same Pro Gear Slim Mini that I had the Troublemaker Rodeo in, because it's a taupe pen and both inks match very well to the body of the pen. Next up is a Wearingeul ink, the Nightingale and the Rose, and it is a shimmery bugger. So this is another greenish brown base. So it's a brown base with hints of green, but that rose gold to pink shimmer just totally changes the ink when the light hits it. So I'm agitating the heck out of it to get the shimmer distributed through the liquid. I give up and shake. Yeah, gave up, shook it. Just easier, faster. So let's see if I can catch it while the shimmer is still in the liquid. And lay it down nice and thick. You can see the green tone, green undertone of the base color of the ink. And I've got a nice pool there to puddle some of the shimmer, so we get that shimmery effect. And let's see if I can fit this name, Wearingeul, the Nightingale and the Rose, on 2 lines. I'm going to jam Nightingale on that first line, I think. Yeah. Barely fit. And the Rose. So now I have to be very careful about cleaning all the shimmer residue, shimmer particles out of the nib and feed. So this is going to take a lot of work. This is not just going to be a simple dunk. I might actually, I don't know, I'm not seeing anything. No, I don't think I need to take my pen apart. So, cat hair. Gets everywhere. So next is another Wearingeul ink. This is Don Quixote. And no shimmer in this one. In fact, of all my brown pink inks, only the one, the Wearingeul, the Nightingale and the Rose, had shimmer in it. So the rest I don't have to agitate, except for the one with shimmer in it and the one with particulate matter, Van Dieman's Kitten Paws. Now, I did not know Van Dieman's Kitten Paws had particulate matter in it when I ordered it or when it first came to me, but I noticed it very quickly on the bottom of the bottle, so I've been shaking that one. So I hope it's supposed to have particulate matter. Anyway, this is Wearingeul Don Quixote. This is just a darker, more brown version of the earlier brown pinks. It's very similar to the color Traveler ink at the top of the page, the Miyajima Sea-Eel Rice Beige, just more saturated, more evenly saturated. Cleaning the pen, the nib and feed. Need more space. So I'm down to, I've got 10 inks laid down already. I had 12 to do, so it's KWZ or KWZ, depending how you say it. KWZ Brown-Pink. I got ink on the label. This one came in the winter, so it leaked a little bit when it was traveling because it froze, and frozen ink expands and spills. So yeah, made a mess, but did not crack, so yay. So this is brown pink. It is intensely saturated and it is scented, smells like vanilla cake. So I'm probably going to have to take the nib and feed out and wash them and dry them separately to get this intense oily ink out of my nib and feed. I love the intensity, and the saturation level of this one is so shocking compared to all my other inks. The other inks are undersaturated or unsaturated. This one is definitely, oh my gosh, that's a mess. Yeah, I'm going to have to take the nib and feed out and wash them separately. So just off screen, I have my little cup of water. Well, big honking cup of water, actually. We don't have little cups in this household. Everything holds at least 12 to 16 ounces of liquid in this household. So, yeah, let's get that ink out. I don't want to introduce the scent oil to the next ink and contaminate it. Cross-contamination is a problem within ink swatching. So make sure I get everything out of that feed and then put them back together. It's so easy to take apart and clean this pen. This was such a good investment. I remember at the time wondering why I was spending so much money, but oh, here we are. Hippo Purple by Robert Oster. This is the Hippo Noto ink. If you remember the Hippo Noto from back in 2018, 2019, something like that, was giant tome of Tomoe River Paper, huge notebooks with lots and lots and lots of pages, and they fit in a back pocket, and they folded back on themselves, and they were an odd shape. They didn't fit in any covers. And it took forever to get them. It was a Kickstarter project. But they came with Hippo Noto. And I have given away all of my Hippo Noto notebooks because I didn't like the thickness. They were just too thick for me to write in. I prefer a thinner notebook. But I kept the ink because I adore Robert Oster Hippo Purple. And it's called Purple, Hippo Purple, but to me it's more brown pink. So, yeah, brown pink. A beautiful color. So, I suppose it's time to look at all of these. We've got some inks drying still. The Wearingeul, the Nightingale, and the Rose is still drying. So is KWZ Brown-Pink and Robert Oster Hippo Purple. But I think it's time, once I clean my tools, to look at these sample swatches on Tomoe River Paper, because so many people in the fountain pen and ink world are users of Tomoe River Paper. And I have some in my stash, original early edition Tomoe River, pre-Sanzen, this year's disastrous, messy problem paper. So I will, yeah, they're beautiful. Light, a little bit darker, hints of green, so slightly different tonality. Pink, more brown pink, more taupe, and then getting into the really dark, intense stuff. So here comes the Tomoe River Paper. Bigger swatches, similar writing size, actually tinier writing size. The grid size is smaller in this book. And you can see more greens in the inks that I saline brown green. And you can see, look at that gorgeous sheen in the Nightingale and the Rose. Not sheen, shimmer. Sorry, wrong word. Gorgeous shimmer. And there is sheen in the KWZ Brown-Pink and the Hippo Purple from Robert Oster, black sheen. And you can see more shading. The shading is just more intense. The colors are more intense. The colors are richer. I mostly swatch on Cosmo Air Light because that's what I write on. I have a whack of it, a bunch of notebooks, so that's what I write on. But I love Tomoe River Paper and how ink looks on it. It's just so much prettier than any other paper, if you can get the original Tomoe River Paper. Okay, let's do some writing samples. I have two of these pens, two of these inks that we've looked at today, inked up in pens. So this is a brown pink ink exploration, and this particular ink is Wearingeul Don Quixote. Now, if you remember back to the page when we did the swatches, this was in the medium colors. This was not one of the light ones, yet it's laying down light. That is because this is a pilot Kakuno Madarome in pink, and it has a medium Japanese steel nib, which is equivalent to a Western fine, or a fine Western nib. Because of that, and the fact that it's laying down the ink really dryly, I'm going to do a smear test here. You'll see virtually no smear. Yeah, virtually no smear. The ink is laid down dryly. This medium intensity ink is looking quite light. It's still legible, but it looks lighter in this pen. So, as always with fountain pens and inks, it depends on the nib, it depends on the paper you're writing on, and it depends on the properties of the ink. This isn't a particularly wet writer, this pen and nib, and this isn't a particularly wet ink, the Wearingeul Don Quixote. It's a beautiful color, but it's writing light because of the scenario in which it finds itself, a dry writer. The pen is a dry writer. So yes, I'm doing a voiceover right now, and I cannot read the teeny tiny window in my video editor, so I do not know what that paragraph says, and I did not bring the book with me into the room I'm in, which is away from the television and the snoring dog, which you may hear in the background now and then because she's a loud snorer, but hopefully not. So next pen is inked with Color Traveler. I'm going to have to say it again here. Miyajima Sea-Eel Rice Beige. It never rolls off the tongue easily. I struggle with this name. This is my Leonardo Momento Zero Grande 2.0, which means it has an ink window, and it's a piston filler in the colorway Sand, and the nib is a medium steel cursive smooth italic that was ground by Salvatore Matrone, and he is the mastermind behind, well, one of the masterminds behind Leonardo. So I have one of his nibs, and I'm very happy to own it. Very happy to have it. I need to put down a sample color going down, and the color is gone because it's all over my finger and all over the page. This is a very wet nib, so it lays down the ink wetly. This was one of the lightest inks. It was the second lightest of all the inks, and it is reading on this page as equivalent to the Don Quixote above it because it's being laid down wetly with a medium cursive smooth italic nib, so a thicker line laid down wetly than the thinner line laid down dryly above it. So even though this is a lighter ink in the swatch, it looks equivalent on the page, and it's just as legible. It shades more. There's more shading from very light to quite dark or medium intensity. Undersaturated inks tend to shade well, or unsaturated inks tend to shade well. And this is definitely an unsaturated ink. So here we go. You can see they're both legible. And you can see that the smear on the lower smear, much wetter in ink. In fact, it's still wet. You can see the sheen when I move the page. Okay, time for something completely different. Let's look for inks that should be in the brown pink section, but aren't. So I've mentioned this a few times before, or no, let's do Hubble Zoom first. Okay, Hubble Zoom. Colorverse Hubble Zoom is a very brown pink ink. Look at that. That swatch is very brown pink. It should be next to Robert Oster Hippo Purple, which is the one down below it. It's a brown pink. Keep that intensity of brown pink in your head, in your mind's eye. That's it, in your mind's eye. And look at it now. When I swatched it yesterday, it's a green brown. It's nothing like that intense brown pink that you saw in the larger swatch. So I swatched the larger swatches in 2022. So between 2022 and 2025, it has changed so much. So next is Inkebara Brown-Pink, which should, by its very name, be brown pink. Is it? Nope. It's green. It's a greeny brown. I know. Like, what the heck? What is going on? It says brown pink. There's no pink. There's barely even brown. It's like a grainy brown. So, a disappointment. And then the other one I ditched from the collection of 15 is Sailor Ink Studio 273 because it's much more pink than brown pink. So I chose browned pinks, brown pinks. So mostly brown, teeny weeny little bit of pink. And Sailor Ink Studio 273 was too much pink. So my final thoughts. Well, as you can tell from the amount of inks I have, 15 that should work here, but 12 that work here, and the fact that I have 2 pens inked up in this colorway, color family, I love brown pink. Is it my favorite color? No, that's coral. But brown pink is a close love, and I want to play with all of these inks. Have I put all of them in a pen yet? No. Will I put them all in a pen? Absolutely. So thanks for going through this journey with me and watching me swatch 12 brown pink inks. Bye.